right. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, friend. Case Erickson here with the beautiful, awesome, amazing, light shining Mike Shoreman. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you, Case?
Good. I am so honored to have you here, and thank you so much for making the time. For those of you who are listening who don't know who Mike Shoreman is, he is a former professional stand-up paddleboarding coach, and until 2018, a neurological condition forced him to retire from the sport. He made the transition to consulting and speaking, where he shares his remarkable story and the life lessons that he learned along the way. He's an ambassador for several nonprofit organizations and a mental health advocate who really fights against any and all of the mental health stigmas. He's a winner of the 2020 Sup Man of the Year. What's up? And the International People's Choice Paddleboarder of the Year Award. In his debut book, which is amazing. If you haven't gotten it, get it. Diaries of the Unbalanced Paddleboarder, Crash and Rise, from victim to thriving survivor. He channels his pain into purpose. Crash and Rise is a story about falling down, getting back up, and stepping bravely into a life that looks nothing like the one we have planned for ourselves. Mike demonstrates what is truly a means to crash and rise again by transcending mental and physical limitations in order to share his light with the world. His story reminds us that it is always darkest before the dawn. Welcome, Mike.
What an intro.
Yeah, that's it, baby. That's you. Like mic drop, right? We're done. Just everybody by the
Oh,
buck, get it done.
you
Um,
should just intro everybody every day to start off their day. Like I think like you could just change the world by doing that for
I
everybody.
just the intro guy. Sign me up. Yes. Well, these are your words. I'm just the conduit. So, these literally, I'm like, this is your bio. I got your bio from your website. I got the description of the book from. So I did not make this up. I just delivered it. So kudos back to you. So that's how the light works, right? Like you shine your light, I take it, I shine it back. Ping, 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 ping. It's just a little game of ping pong. So, yes, you're just such an inspiration for so many. Your story is it's raw and it's real, and like it's like, oh, you just feel like you have it all going for you, and you got all the things, and then you have this like weird shit that happened to you. It's just like, what's happening to my body? I don't understand it. And so it's like, it's not a normal thing. It's not, I mean, by normal I mean like it's not a common thing, to where it's like where something happens to you and you get it, like, oh, this is what's happening to you. Like something's happening to you. It doesn't happen. It happens so rarely to so that you don't know. Like, so you have what's happening to you is happening, and then like you don't know what's happening. So it's
Mhm.
like double the, I'll say trauma, like, because it's really traumatizing. So share with people just like a really brief, highlight of kind of like how that was for you in the beginning when you didn't know what was wrong with you, and kind of getting the diagnosis and then shifting from the diagnosis into that dark period. Like
Yeah.
what was that like for you?
So I was a very kind of healthy, vibrant, athletic person. And I coached professionally with the national governing body of the sport of paddleboarding. And then for people who don't know what my condition is or understand it, I'll just break it down really quickly. It's a reactivation of your chickenpox as shingles, and shingles usually attacks older people, but shingles is brought on by extreme stress. And
Mm,
I'd run my body into the ground with my business, and I wasn't taking care of myself, and and it reactivated and it attacked my ear. So in a very short period of time, like 5 days, I went to a walk-in clinic and three different hospitals, and all the same questions. They said, what have you been doing lately? And I said, well, I was just in California and I was surfing. And they said, okay, so this is a infection, like this is a
Right.
water from surfing, but it wasn't. And eventually, I missed the window for treatment because of that. And and yeah, so my face dropped on the one side. It looked like I'd had a stroke.
Wow.
um, Hearing, I still have hearing impairments in that ear. And then vision, because my eye was impaired because of the paralysis and speech impairments. And most devastatingly, I lost my sense of balance,
Mm,
which for a professional paddleboarder is the worst thing that can happen. So,
yeah.
so my independence, my business, my social life gone.
All of it.
Mm, and there was a lot of rage, and there was a lot of anger, and there
Yeah.
was a lot of sadness, a lot of fear about what I was going to do with my life. Um, and like I remember them sending me for an MRI to rule out brain damage, and I was so angry. Um, I was exhausted because it's an exhausting thing. Um, and the exhaustion still affects me today, but not nearly as much as back then. But I remember being on that MRI table, and I had vertigo, and we had to stop it.
Yeah.
Um, and and I was just so angry that I was in this position that that doctors were telling me that, we were going to send you for an MRI for brain damage. Like this shouldn't have happened. Um, and I just sunk it when it really kind of set in what was happening. It was just very sad, and I just sunk into a huge depression
Yeah.
over the over grief and
Hmm.
loss. I think grief of how I'd planned my life,
Mm,
and
hmm.
what was happening, and
Expectations.
I was very, yeah. And that's something that I've kind of learned to manage now, is that I live with hope rather than expectation.
Mm,
Whereas before, when all of this happened 2 years ago, um, I I lived in a very different way, and this has kind of transformed my thinking.
hmm.
Um, so in many ways, I'm grateful, but it took a lot to get there.
Yeah. So tell, really what was one of the pivotal moments, and I'm trying to like not give the story away, when you really made that shift where and it's always a work, right? But it's a work every day to make that commitment and to be in the work and to do the thing, right? What was something that made that shift for you where you're like, okay, this is I have to make this shift?
Yeah. It can't. So this will happen in like November 2018, and I think the real shift started in April. And it was just I'm not going to say what happened exactly because it's pretty huge.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say that it was forced upon me by
Hmm.
people in my life. And it's something that I needed to do. I needed to get help,
Hmm.
um, health treatment to kind of process everything. I didn't know I was that far down the road, like I was that far gone that I needed to go to where I went.
Right.
Um, but no, I was in a place where I at least understood, and I recognized that I really did need to do a lot of work. And yeah, so April, about 5 months after.
Are you still there? You're okay. My video froze for a hot minute. Um Yeah. So, what would you say? And I want to say, like, I wore my little backwards hat today. To, if someone's just listening, they can't see, but in honor of your speaker slam performance, which I just love that. Are you gonna go get your hat? There you go. There you go. I love that look. For anybody who hasn't seen, there's a link on your website, I believe, to the piece. And uh, tell me what it was like for you to deliver that speech, to get asked to deliver it, then to deliver it, then to win it, then to see the amount of people who resonated with your message, and to see it being liked and shared and all those things. What was that experience like for you?
Um, Unexpected, amazing.
Mm,
So I had just stopped using a cane. No,
mm,
actually, I was still using a cane to walk. I was retraining. I was in physiotherapy and I was learning how to walk again. And I went to see a friend, and she said, I walked into her office and I had an eye patch on,
uh-huh.
and to protect my eye from the wind, and I was using a cane. And she looked at me and she was like, "You're not done. Like, I know you.
Uh-huh.
You're
Uh-huh.
not done. I'm gonna send you some information for this thing." So she sent me a link for North America's largest inspirational speaking competition. And and I thought, okay, well, I'm just here doing nothing. Um, I'll send a reply. And then something happened a couple weeks later that gave me a really great story to use. Doctors said I wouldn't be able to paddleboard again, and I was in a place where I got on a paddleboard again,
Mm,
and I only lasted for a few minutes. But I thought, okay, we've now got I've got material for something really great. And um and it was an amazing moment, that moment getting back on when they said I couldn't.
mm-hmm.
um and it was a real moment of triumph. And so I applied to do that thing, and they said, "Yeah, we want you." And we followed back, and they said, "We really want this story. Like, however you craft it, like the pitch is there." Um, so I thought, okay, well, I've never done public speaking before, and it was in a room of 300, and I thought, okay, well, if I can uplift three in a room of 300, then I'll consider that a win.
One, but
And
three.
then
One's not good enough. Just one. It's so funny. Most people were like, if I can reach just one, but you were like, no, I need three.
I will three. Well,
One,
two
three.
of them were going to be my parents. So
Oh, okay. So
so I
I got that. Okay, now
so
that makes sense. The three makes
they're
sense.
already
Yeah.
um but but yeah, so it was in front of a panel of judges, and they were big names. And I was competing against people who've done TED Talks and who
Mhm.
speak professionally, and I'd never done anything like that. And then I did a speech about saying yes to ourselves when we don't think that we can do something, and how each
Mm,
yes leads to our next yes until we
mm,
stop saying no. So
mm.
basically, limiting beliefs.
Right.
Um, and then I won, which was crazy. Um, yeah, I remember it very well. My hearing's impaired, but it was crazy loud when they called out my name at the end.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And it was one of the most amazing experiences I think I will ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And it quickly went viral. Ashton Kutcher's platform put it up. The Power of Positivity put it up. Jay Shetty shared it. And it, millions of views, hundreds of thousands of comments. it's still being shared and posted on different platforms today, which
Mm,
is crazy thing. But the most amazing part of that isn't the shares or the comments, or the shares or the likes,
yeah.
um, or the views. The amazing thing is the comments. And I have heard from people all around the world how, how while they might not have my condition, they have a condition, or they know
Yes.
somebody who has the
Mm-hmm.
condition,
Mm-hmm.
and how that speech has helped them.
Yes.
And so I hear from people who have like Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis, or my dad's got cancer, and I watched your speech, and that's really the most amazing part of it, I think, is
Yeah.
hearing and connecting with people.
Yeah, for sure. And so, what of that experience, like, because this is all relatively recent, when did the whole like book writing thing come into to play as a reality or as a possibility, and then as a reality? What can you tell me about that process?
So I think what's really remarkable is the time frame of everything.
Yeah.
So it all happened in November. So in November, I couldn't walk. In April was kind of like the shift. In May is when I got the story. In August is when I won
Wow.
every.
Wow.
And then it kind of went boom in
Yeah.
August, September, and it just went crazy. So I started working. The fortunate part of this, the book,
Uh-huh.
is it's diaries. I kept a diary throughout the entire thing. So when I was writing it, I had already done a lot of the work.
Right.
I already knew a lot of the events, and as they were unfolding, um, I just kept on adding. So the book development actually started in September, 1 month after, so September 2019, and then it was published just over a year later, so late late this past October.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a few months now.
Yeah, remarkable timeline for sure. So, how has your life changed? What sorts of things are you doing now that you weren't doing a year ago?
Um, so I'm speaking at conferences, which
Mm-hmm.
is exciting. I'm speaking at schools. Um, I just had a meeting yesterday with an app company. They've developed an app which manages time negotiation between parents and kids, like
Okay.
trade-offs, like to get them away from their screens. And they're bringing me on as an influencer for their digital library. So I will
Okay.
be on this app. They're expected to hit 12 million this year, which is
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. Um, there's different book stuff going on. There's been book fairs, and there's a lot of media stuff right now, which is exciting, but also exhausting.
Yeah.
um, but no, it's crazy to think how devastated how devastating it all was,
Yeah.
and to look at where things are now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very encouraging. So, what would you say to someone and I know when I was reading your book, there was a portion of it where you talk about how you first started throwing up and you first starting experiencing these physical conditions, and you found yourself kind of like uh, just at the toilet, like barfing your guts out. Um, and while you weren't necessarily while you were talking more about the physical sensations, when I was reading that, I was very present to the amount of suffering in the world on a mental stage, and thinking like, while I'm sitting here reading the story and feeling so drawn into you. And I mean, and knowing you now and that you've come out, so I'm reading it with that perspective, but you don't have that perspective when you're, barfing your guts out. And when I was reading that, I was having the awareness of people who right now are barfing their guts out, or, either physically, literally, or metaphorically. They're in that dark night of their soul. They're in that, it's always darkest before the dawn, right? They're in that dark moment, like right
Right.
now. And how important it is for us who have come out of that to shine our light, and how you're shining your light, and you're doing the thing, because that's the hope. It's like what you said, it's not an expectation, it's a hope. So there's still a tremendous amount of work left to be done in the mental health field, and crushing the stigmas and all those other things. So that's what opened up for me when I was reading it, is just like very present to, there's there's still a large amount of suffering in the world. There's a large amount of people who are still in that dark space. So what would you say to someone who's, watching this or listening to this, who's in that dark moment, who doesn't have hope, who feels like they don't have hope, who all their expectations have been let down, they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel? What would you say to them?
Well, I use water metaphors a lot.
Mm,
So I'm going to use another one here, and that is um, whatever life jacket is being thrown into the water, reach for it.
mm,
And I had tons of life jackets thrown to me, and I didn't take them because I think as men, what we do is we don't talk enough
mm.
about what we are internalizing. So I shut down mentally for months until it was almost too late. Um, so if a friend calls, even though it's hard, pick up the phone, have that conversation. There's a
Mhm.
reason that friend is calling, because they're concerned about you, and
Yeah.
because it's going to benefit you to pick up the phone and have, like, it's going to benefit you mentally to
Yeah.
have a conversation, even if you're not going deep with them, just to be with them and to feel a little normal. It will go a long way. And even though the road in front might not be paved, and it doesn't mean that you can't eventually rebuild your own road.
Mm.
Um, but it takes time, and to be gentle with ourselves,
Mm.
and that time will come. It might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, it might not happen 6 months from now, but it will happen.
Mhm.
um, and we are incredibly resilient.
Yes. That I get. I mean, I get that for you for sure. You are incredibly resilient, but I appreciate how I appreciate how you apply that to the human race as well, knowing that there is an element of resiliency in all of us. I mean, particularly if you look at just how many shoulders we're standing on now inside the world of all of the things, all the things that have been developed and created, and, civil rights issues, and how far we've come inside the world of equality and inclusion and diversity and all these other things that are important to a healthy mental health, to healthy mental health. When we feel included, when
Yep.
we feel a part of a community, when we feel connected, these movements, these civil rights movements, and the eradication of judgment and prejudice and all these things are so essential to it. So we really are, there, and to that degree, when you said, reach for the life jacket, I really appreciated that. There are so many, even if people aren't um, pinging you, because I know a lot of people, they feel like, God, I wish somebody would check on me, or I just feel like they feel very alone, feel very isolated. um, when you're in that space, what it takes is for you to reach out for the help. And I appreciate what
Yeah.
you said, because men are, men and women, but men for whatever reason
Yeah.
have this, like, I'm not asking for directions. Like,
Mhm.
there's some element of some illusion of that being stoic is somehow strong or good. There's something admirable in not asking for help. Um,
Yeah.
but there's always help. There's crisis lifelines. There's the warm lines. There's multiple mental health treatment option. There's just such a tremendous amount. And sometimes what it takes is asking, and being willing to go for that life jacket that's out there.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that analogy.
And
Thank you.
if you are struggling with mental health, which I think a lot of people are right now,
Hmm.
with what's happened this year, there's been so much loss
Yeah.
with the pandemic, and with what we've all gone through this year. Um, but when you are on the other side of it, I think it's very important, um, to give back. Um,
Yes.
so so if you are experiencing, anxiety, stress, depression, um, I'm an advocate and an ambassador for several nonprofit organizations. And one of those is a really big mental health organization. But if you've gone through something yourself, you're attached to that cause.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
so so what I like to do and what I like to see is people who have also gone through experiences of their own, give back, whether it doesn't have to be money, it can be time.
mm-hmm,
It can, time is valuable. So,
mm-hmm.
and all these organizations, especially right now, are struggling. So yeah, just you know, make the world a little bit brighter.
Yes. And so with that said, I like
Ask,
to
ask,
ask
ask,
that. What's that, love?
ask what you can do.
Yes, for sure. I mean, there's so much relief, and I have my own history of depression and mental health issues, coming from a fundamentalist, religious, traumatic, religious trauma background, cult-like mentality. And so anytime I have the darkness that, I choose to feel like I dance with the darkness, like I'll never fully, and maybe this is wrong of me, but I'm just like, it's always kind of in my car. And so it's my job just to stay in the driver's seat and acknowledge the darkness, ask it what it needs, if it's sadness, if it's overwhelm, if it's fear, whatever it is, and give it love, give it attention. Thank you for it being there. Assure it that it's safe. We are safe. And I'm driving. My heart's driving. Love is driving. And that's the direction that that I want to head in, is that spreading the light, spreading the love, and moving into that space of service, and actually getting into action, and actually serving sometimes is what I drive myself to do, because like literally I'll go deliver groceries, or I'll just do, and like in that act of service there's something that shifts, is you're really telling the darkness that you are driving, you are in control. And then, but it doesn't feel like it just feels good, like something magical happens that's kind of like apart from anything in service. So I know a lot of 12 step, that's why it's like it's all about service, because there is something magical that happens that I can't fully articulate. So I really appreciate that you brought up service, because I think it's really, really essential. Even if someone doesn't feel like serving, like make that appointment, look at the tremendous amount of nonprofits that are out there. Of course I have a lot of history with food. So one of the ones that I work with is related to food donations, food
Yeah,
deliveries.
yeah,
Um, so that speaks to me. So pick something that speaks to you,
yeah,
and just go do it. Even if you don't feel like it, do it.
yeah, it's going to make you feel better, and it's going to
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
others.
Yeah,
It's like
for
a
sure.
win-win situation for
Yeah.
both parties.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I like to ask people is, play a little game of pretend like we did when we were children. We still can do it. We still have the capacity to do so. So pretend, Mr. Shoreman, that I am your fairy godfather here, here
Okay.
to wave my magic wand. Other than an infinite amount of wishes, what would you like to see for yourself or for the world or for both?
I think for the world, I would like to see um, a lot more equalization.
Mm,
Um, I would like to feel that we are progressing rather than going back in
mhm,
time.
mhm,
I think this past year, what we have seen, especially in the US, um, so much happened.
yeah,
I can't even put it into words.
yeah.
um, but racism, homophobia, um, financial disparity. Um, I would like to see, significant strides and improvements in the next several years. And I think we are going to see improvements. I think it takes a lot of, it's going to take a long time to get to
Yeah.
where it needs to be, but I do think that what this pandemic has done is given us a reshift, and many people have made changes or are thinking about making changes on how they want to lead their lives. And
Mm,
so yeah, I would wish that we get to that great place
mhm.
um, faster.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and and for myself, oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one when you have to make a wish for yourself. I don't. I
Mhm.
don't. Um, we're in lockdown right now, so I guess I'd like to go on a vacation.
Yes. Vacations. Where would you go? You've already been so many places. What's on the list?
um, I think I'd go back to California. I love
Mm,
California. It's
yeah.
one of my favorite places.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. No, I think I'd go back to California. I've got friends in California, and the weather's great, and and I just love how I feel when I'm there.
Yes, because you're in.
Um,
It's Toronto or Ontario? I can't remember what part of Canada.
Toronto.
Toronto. Yeah. It's had a bit chilly this time of year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty icy outside.
Yeah,
Um,
same here. And it's bizarre because this is Austin, Texas, and everyone's freaking
yeah,
out. But yeah, we've got ice on the trees right now, ironically.
Canada. That's
Hmm.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, Austin might be. Yeah, maybe California, and then add on Austin to my
Yeah.
wish.
Yeah. You should. You should definitely come down. I'm kind of trapped here for the next 7 years before my youngest graduates high school, and then I'm off to the beach, off to Hawaii, homeland. But
Yeah,
yeah, I always love playing that game to let us dream, and shift our energy, and I think that's the combination of how we make it through, one life jacket at a time for ourselves is being in that space of service, but then also letting ourselves dream and be like, you know what, I am going to get out. I am going to go on vacation. I am going to do these things as a hope, as a
yeah,
belief, because it makes the lockdowns of life, whatever our lockdowns are, makes the lockdowns of life so much more manageable because we're really allowing ourselves to shift our own energy and shift our own emotional state just with our dreaming, you know?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So play that fairy Godfather game all day long, Michael.
Okay. I actually write. Um, I do gratitude journaling.
Yes.
So I'll write that down. Actually, I haven't actually written anything like vacations or anything like
Oh
that.
yeah.
But I
What's your
will write
favorite?
that down and
Yeah.
manifest it.
Well,
So
I like to, I'm a big believer in that. I mean, I've been doing it every night for I don't even know, a year over a year, just long time. And I mean, last night was particularly I was tired and I was just like, oh God, I don't want to do it. But I just like, still scratched all the things that I was grateful for that day. And then also remembering that um not being attached to the physical thing as like if I'm disappointed, like if something I want hasn't manifested,
yeah,
um the dreaming about it and feeling like being in that feeling of it, like allowing the feeling and the shift of the emotion, the emotional state, for that to be the manifestation where I'm like, oh, I just created my own relief, and like that's enough. And like you said, eventually, it'll come, it'll turn if we stay in that mindset.
yeah. No, I think if we use gratitude, and we learn to live with gratitude, you'd be surprised at how fast, like people are, I think people would be surprised at how fast when you live like that, how fast your energy and your attitude changes and how
Yes.
happy you are all the
Yeah.
time. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're just, because you learn to, everything's just a bonus at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, got a roof over
Yeah.
my head. That's
And then
pretty good. Like,
before
and
you
then
know it,
everything else is
yeah, and before you know it, you're talking to like best-selling authors about inspiring others, and mm. Oh my
it's
gosh. Well, Michael, I really appreciate you, on many, many levels. I'm so honored that our paths have crossed throughout 2020. And it's just so encouraging and inspiring. And I'm ecstatic with the level of exposure that you're getting, that your story is getting, that the lives that are being touched by it are, inspiring, like you're inspiring. And then the people who are, being drawn into your story are inspiring because they're going and they're shining their light. And you're exactly what I'm about, like this conversation for men to be in their light, to shift out of the darkness, to go for that life jacket, to really be that
imagine
inspiration.
imagine if everybody shone bright.
Yes.
Like it would just be amazing. Like,
Well, I'm starting with demands. Give me all demands. I don't care what
oh,
your I don't care what your orientation is. If you're a man, like
just start with
men
the
have,
men.
huh? What's that?
Just start with the men.
Yeah, but I mean, because I think that there's a lot, like you brought up earlier, with equilibrium that needs to occur. And I know you weren't specifically talking about the men, but from my perspective and my experience has been a disequilibrium with, the masculine expression, masculinity versus femininity. And you see this no matter what the orientation that the man is, there is this imbalance, this unwillingness to ask for help, this hyper alpha male. I mean, in the straight community and the gay community, you have it. You have femme shaming, like being feminine is worse than, straight men do it, gay men do it, like just men do it. And so like the balance that I feel and what my programs are about are about coming into that balance within yourself of your own masculine and your own feminine, and coming into that balance, realizing that you're in the center. And sometimes we have to give and sometimes we have to receive, and it's all about the balance. So this is perfect that you and I are talking, because you're up to the same things and you're all about the balance on the paddleboard, and bringing that
In a year,
balance to yourself.
yeah, yeah. In a year where we've all been knocked off our paddle boards and everybody's become the unbalanced paddle boarder.
Yes, we're just like pushing the reset button for sure. So I really appreciate the resource that you have. If anyone's listening to this and hasn't read Crash and Rise, get it, put it in your library. It is a Lightworkers resource tool. It is an essential tool in the Lightworkers toolbox. So thank you so much again, Mike. Mike, where can people connect with you? Tell us what you're up to, where we can connect with you, how we can follow you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, great. I'm on Facebook, Mike Shoreman. My Facebook page is Mike Shoreman, the Unbalanced Paddleboarder. I'm on Instagram at the Unbalanced Paddleboarder. You can find out more at mikeshoreman.com. I'm on Twitter. My book's on Amazon. It's at Books a Million. It's at Barnes and Noble.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
All over. Just Mike Shoreman. Get up on Mike's light. And I'm so
And that is my real last name.
yes.
Yeah.
Shoreman, get up on Mike Shoreman's shore.
Is that
Thank
your
you so
real
much.
last name or is it your stage name?
I know, like it didn't even. I'm slow. I went to Christian school, so I didn't get. Education was not what it it could have been. I'll just say that. So I was literally. I mean, I've probably known you for I don't know, maybe a year.
Sweet.
Um, and I was just like doing your bio and stuff like that. I'm like, Shoreman. Oh my god, he's like Shoreman, and he talks about water. It's not his real last name. But yeah, that's again, I love that synchronicity and how those things that kind of that pull us into our own destiny and our purpose. So it's lovely to see you living
It
yours
was,
and
it's so
connecting to the
nice being
community
here.
and being of service to the community. So thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank
All
you for
right.
doing what you do.
Yeah, until next time, friend. Bye.